Everything is not based on how you feel. I think people feel they're entitled to treating people poorly. They're entitled to certain decisions because it's based on how they feel. And a lot of the feelings really usually backtrack to some of the trauma, some of the treatment that we've had in the past, some of the ways people have told us no, some of the opportunities that we've missed, some of the things where you felt you needed certain things the most. People maybe pulled back from you. And in reality, you're not really looking at the whole picture. You're looking at it from a faulty mindset. I wasn't treated properly all of my childhood, so I have a right to treat people poorly. I didn't get anything as a kid, so now everybody owes me something. I'm frustrated and stressed out with some of the choices that I made in my life, and I'm dealing with a lot of the consequences. So how I feel is going to be projected onto another person, whether that person has nothing to do with the situation at hand or the control of anything that somebody else has chosen to act towards you, and they didn't have control over the choices that you've made. Now you have to deal with the consequences, or just the things that come along with it. Having children, having losing your job, failing a test or failing college, your car breaking down. Like, all of this stuff can literally happen at the same time simultaneously, and everybody has life stressors. And it's okay if you need a break. It's okay if you have, a struggle in your life and maybe you need some mental time or mental space. But it's up to you to actually create the space. It's not up to anybody else to assume that you need space. It's not up to anybody else to take on your consequences and your choices and even some of your trauma that person had nothing to do with. Or maybe that person might have created some type of trauma from you. Maybe they told you no. Maybe they took something. Maybe they, set a standard for their own lives or set a boundary or just asked for decency and consideration. And maybe you just felt that at that time they're not really thinking about what you need. So a lot of the times, a lot of people are focused on their feelings. And a lot of people don't live by principles and standards. If you fail a class, you fail school, that's a choice that you made because you didn't do the work that needed to be done. Whether that was getting extra help, or whether that was you actually taking your courses seriously, or whether that was creating space and time for yourself to go study, but instead you wanted to cater to everybody else. Even if people are demanding your time, that's up to you to tell people, no, I have to go study. No, I can't go out. Hey, I'm going to exit this area and go sit over here. Whether that's you need to go to your car, whether that means you need to go sit outside of the park, or whatever you have to do, you have to honor your commitments and still stop basing things off of your emotions. And I think we all struggle with that. It can become even into your business, like why you aren't thriving, why you aren't making the choices that you're making to move ahead is because you are basing things off of your emotions. And because I'm not feeling good today, that means I'm not going to have a good business. Because I'm not feeling good today, that means I'm not going to open up this computer and really start working on my stuff that I know I need to be doing. But instead, I'm just going to wallow in self-pity. It's going to turn into day one. It's going to turn into day two. And then I'm going to look at everybody else who is successful in that area. I'm going to feel a certain way about them because I'm still basing things off of my feelings. I'm going to start becoming jealous and hateful. I'm going to wish negative things about them. I might even go as deep as to wish negative curses and speaking negative things over that person's life or whoever they're connected to because I feel a certain way. It's not always about your feelings. Feelings are going to come and feelings are going to go. Feelings are very temporary, whether that's a good feeling or a bad feeling. Feelings don't always stay. So if you base everything holistically off of just how you feel, and that's how you treat yourself because you're going to talk negatively about yourself, or that's how you treat other people because you're going to talk negatively about them based on a scenario and a situation that is probably just present in your face right now that won't be something that's as loud in, the future, you're really never going to grow. Everything is not about how you feel. It's based off principles and standards. Are you doing what you need to do regardless of how you feel? Are you treating people properly regardless of how you feel? You can feel your feelings. The point is for you to feel your feelings. So if you're feeling sad and down and rejected and hurt and you're still dealing with a lot of your trauma, you might need to go talk to somebody and get a lot of help, or you might need to go and cry because you keep holding stuff in, so now you're lashing out at people. Instead of just going to go cry, you really need to go to pray. You really need to go and worship. But you don't even submit to God like that because you're still basing everything off of your feelings. can have a moment or a day or two. That's fine. Sit and wallow in your self-pity for a couple days and get yourself up, wipe your tears, and focus on what you need to do. You don't want to be a full-grown adult still basing things off of your feelings. Nobody's going to cater to that. Your job's not going to cater to that. School's not going to cater to that. Your children don't even cater to your feelings because they're not supposed to. You're actually supposed to be catering to their feelings because you're the adult. There's so many things, that I feel is just unfortunate. Feelings and focusing on them is going to make you lose out on genuine connections. Feelings are going to make you lose out on important opportunities. Feelings are going to make you lose out on finances. Feelings are going to disrupt your life in ways where you're going to go backwards. And you're probably already in a backward state, but you're going to go further. I just seen a duck crossing the street. And everybody stopped for the duck. That's just so beautiful. But yeah. Don't allow your feelings to make you make permanent choices on something that's real temporary. You could wake up at 6 a.m. feeling horrible, feeling angry, feeling burdened, feeling sad, feeling unwanted. And by the end of that night, you could feel so fulfilled, so loved, so respected, so considered. And sometimes you might not feel that way. Sometimes you're going to feel sad. You're going to feel low. You're going to feel ugly. You're going to be depressed. You're not going to feel great. You're not going to want to do what you need to do. And that can last for months sometimes, depending on whatever season you're in. When you heal and when you start educating yourself and when you start actually becoming the person that God called you to be, whether that's you're a parent and you're becoming a full-time parent, whether that's a husband or a wife and you're becoming a full-time spouse, whether that's you start in school and you become a full-time student, whether that's work or you become a full-time employee, whether you're in business, now you're becoming a full-time entrepreneur, maybe you're still working your 9 to 5. When you actually start learning these things, you start to realize how toxic sometimes our minds can be or how faulty our thoughts can be. You start to really see how toxic you really are and how negative you really can be. And I think sometimes people withdraw from the healing process because of that. A lot of people draw from their processes because they go to a class and they start school and they're like, well, this is getting hard. I can't do this. And they'll drop out. It's so many factors to so many things in life. And I think if we spent so much more time focusing on what are we needing to do with ourselves, life would be so much different for you. What are the steps you need to take to get your, to become independent? You don't have to rely on anybody else. That's adulthood. That's how it comes. So I just think if we stop basing everything off our feelings and really just get to work and do what we got to do, we'll see a lot of success. We'll actually probably stop being as sad. But the initial process is going to be sad because you're breaking barriers. You're breaking a mindset. And that's not something that happens overnight. And it's going to take time. And it might take you years. But at the same time, you're not going to feel good in that process. And just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean you shouldn't keep pursuing it. And I'm not talking about something like staying in a toxic relationship. That shouldn't feel good because it's not good for you. But you leaving a toxic relationship and actually committing to being single alone with no prospects because you need to get yourself together. You're not healthy 100% to be trying to move from person to person to person. And then when that person does something you don't want them to do, then you're still stuck in your feelings. And then you're going to leave that person and bring all of these feelings to this next person. It's a cycle. And instead of just focusing on yourself and professional development, personal development, spiritual development, healing and really growing and doing what's best for you and your mental health and your physical health, going to doctors, going to dentists, that stuff matters as an adult. When was the last time you've been to the doctor? These things matter. So I think if you stop basing everything off your feelings, because you're not making rational choices, You're making emotional choices, and emotional choices lead you to jail. Emotional choices lead you to hell. Emotional choices lead you to no progress. Definitely got to get it together. We all got to get it together. We got to do what's best for us and our kids. And basing everything off your feelings, it's not going to get you there. God don't care about our feelings. He cares about knowing that you know how he feels about you. Your purpose, your identity is found in him. He wants you to submit all of your feelings to him so that he can replace it with joy and with peace and with long suffering. Is not fun. Long suffering hurts. It does feel sucky, but it's a part of growth. It's a part of your deliverance. It's a part of you growing in the kingdom of God. So you're going to have to suffer sometimes long. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes those things last months, especially when you're trying to change your mindset. And I think a lot of people will go 2 weeks and be, thinking I'm reading my word every day, I'm praying every day, and life is about to change. And because it doesn't change in those 2 weeks, we go back to the same cycles. Because you're basing everything off your feelings. You also can't base things off what it looks like. Because it says faith is the substance of things hoped for. So when you're hoping for something, you don't have it yet. So that's what your faith is doing. It's actually hoping for something different, hoping for something new. But a lot of the times, our thinking is so just in depth of so much toxicity that we don't even know the proper ways to think, what to ask for. Like, we want to be married, we want to be a successful business owner. Like, those are still thoughts that we have, but sometimes the avenues we take to get it is not healthy. So we think that because we're doing that type of work and we're casting all of our, time into a certain person or a certain area, that we're doing the work. That's not what the work is. The work is dealing with you. So when I say I tell people don't date. I tell a lot of people just not date. And it's not because you're unqualified or you're not worthy of somebody, a good partner, because you are. It's really because your thinking is faulty. You're going to go into relationships thinking that you're supposed to receive and people are supposed to cater to your every emotion and your feelings. And that's not true. The right person is going to challenge your emotions. The right person is going to challenge your feelings. And even though you can go and you can talk about your partner to other people, and other people are going to see because they see goodness in you, or they're going to side with you, maybe because they have people pleasing issues too. So they may not be able to always tell you the right thing. And then when people tell you the right thing, you get mad at them. And you want to cut them off because it's not what you want to hear, because you're basing everything off your feelings. It's not always about what you feel. It's about principles and laws. And a lot of the principles and laws you'll find in the Bible, and I think a lot of people read the Bible based on their feelings. So now they don't want to believe in God, or they don't want to like God, or they don't want to submit to God because something that they read in the Bible didn't agree to their feelings. But you'll chase all the toxicity in the world, and it's not, you don't like the way it feels, but you'll still connect to that because that's what you're comfortable with. Your feelings are attached to toxicity, so that's your comfort zone. There's so much work to be done within the humanity. There's so much work to be done within ourselves that we spend too much time focusing on everybody else because you don't want to face your feelings.